Happy Sunday, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Welcome to Truth Be Told, a podcast that's dedicated to healing and breaking curses. I am your host, Melinda Bass. I'm coming to you every Sunday for a 20 to 30 minute podcast. Here at Truth Be Told, our purpose is to heal. We will communicate with one another by talking through the lives. We will share any experiences that we may have on today's topic. We will listen to one another. We will be respectful, and hopefully we will grow and we will heal. At any age, we still have the ability to grow, and we have the ability to listen to others and learn something and heal. Before we get started, I'd like to say my prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you with a grateful and a humble heart. I come to you not asking for anything for myself, but thanking you, Lord, for everything. I ask, Lord, that you continue to cover anyone who has or who is going through a loss, a death, a loss of a job, any kind of loss, not only this week, but months and years prior, Lord. Holidays or a hard time for families especially that are dealing with a loss of a loved one. So, Lord, I ask that you hold them real tight and that you comfort them and let them know that you are still God and healing is possible in the midst of grief. Dear Lord, again, I want to thank you for the opportunity for this podcast. May it continue to be a vessel for those who are going through something and for those who are gearing towards healing. These things I trust and I pray. Amen. So excuse me, you all, for getting started late. We had some technical difficulties, and it looks like we still are having some because my live is frozen. So before we get started, I would like to briefly discuss last week's podcast, which is the biblical order of family. I think we all were in agreement that God is first. He is the head of everything, anything that you are doing, whether it's business, whether it's about work, raising your children, issues in your marriage. You go to God first. Go to him in prayer to seek answers. Then it's his husband, then his children, and then all else follows. I think we were in agreement with that. I'm frozen. Before we get started, also I have a letter from a viewer. And it says, Dear Truth Be Told / Melinda, I recently subscribed to your YouTube channel at Truth Be Told 1969. I haven't had the opportunity to watch all of your episodes, but the ones that caught my attention was Episode 3, Unchain Your Heart, and Episode 7, Love Shouldn't Hurt. Sometimes it is very helpful to hear from someone who is neutral when you are in an abusive situation. My relationship was a combination of unhealthiness, toxicity, and abusive. Even though the breakup is fresh, 3 weeks, every day I'm loving this new peace that I found. I miss my husband, but nothing compares to this peace. I have been living 7 years of hell trying to keep my family together. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and giving the others opportunities to share as well. I've told my sisters and my girlfriends about you as well. Continue what you're doing. Signed, Nessa.
It's just your computer. So you really just keep
Okay, so we're going to get started with today's podcast. Trust or bust, can any relationship, that's romantic relationship, friendship, or business relationship, can any relationship survive without trust? So trust is defined as a firm belief in the reliability, the ability, or the strength in something. Trust is the foundation for all relationships. It's like a house built on sand. If you don't have any trust, or if trust has been broken and you can't find a way to regain trust, it will eventually crumble. When you have trust in something or someone, you're confident that that person won't do anything to hurt or violate you. Even in romantic and business situations. So I had a situation, actually an ex-husband who had cheated, and we tried to save the relationship, but because of lack of trust, because of that person acknowledging what they had done, we were unable to get back to the relationship, and so we eventually divorced. So can anyone share an experience, or can anyone say that they feel like if the relationship doesn't have any trust, is it a bust? You guys excuse me because my live has went out, so I'm trying to interact with you all without being able to see what you're saying. So let's discuss the consequences of broken trust. When you have broken trust, the person may feel insecure. There's constant questions: where you going, where you been, who you talking to, who you texting. Social media becomes an issue. Telephone calls become an issue. In business deals may be broken. Financial aspects of the business relationship can be broken, and then ultimately the business could end. It affects communication, emotional safety. In romantic relationships or marriages, it affects intimacy. So I want you all to try to reflect: have you ever experienced a relationship with lack of trust, and how did it affect the relationship, or how did you navigate through to try to get the relationship back on track? Whether it's a romantic relationship, a marriage, or whether it was business, or did the situation just bust? Can trust be rebuilt? Of course it can, of course. But it starts with open communication in a marriage. If it was infidelity, if it was, let's say, something about finances, whatever the case may be, first two people have to sit down and discuss, why did this happen? And that means that the person who broke the trust has to be accountable. That's one of the first things, is that a lot of people don't want to be accountable for what they did that caused the relationship to sever. Once you come to an agreement on that, there's got to be some open communication. That person has to be willing to listen to the other person and how they feel. And it takes time. Once trust is broken, if you are trying to save the relationship, it takes time. It does not happen overnight. And that person who has broken the trust has to be patient with the person who is trying to trust you again. You have to be patient. You can't rush them. It won't happen overnight. you can't rush them to believe what you say or believe your actions, believe that you're going to do the right thing. It takes time. If you're willing, really willing, and you really want to save the relationship, it takes time. So the role that trust plays in relationships, the different kind of ways that trust can be broken in a romantic relationship is infidelity, dishonest, and it also can be financial secrets if you and that person share a bank account, or if y'all share a business, anything that has to do with finances. In business, dishonest can be in contracts and also financial dealings. So lack of communication and lack of following through. If you have a partner that you have a business with and they're late all the time, or just a lack of following up on different business ventures, that can cause some distrust in the person that they can't handle things on their end. It's not necessarily that they might have done anything deceitful, but you just don't trust their ability to do their part in the business. When trust can't be restored in a relationship, it definitely causes a strain. It definitely causes the people not to be able to communicate with one another. I can remember being in a relationship and that person had did something dishonest. And so when we did talk, or we hardly talk, it's unbelievable sometimes that you can actually be in the house with someone and go a whole 24 hours and not talk to them. And sometimes they make it hard because they don't want to be honest. So first, I'd like to give a shout out to Reggie Love and also Miss Bridget Carter. Thank you for joining me today. Hello, Miss Bridget. So Reggie Love commented, relationships are built on trust and loyalty, so it's always thoughts when you gotta forgive past wrongs. I believe that too, and he also said once trust is gone, it's a wrap. Yeah, if you can't get that trust back, it's a wrap. It's hell living with someone who you can't trust. Every move they make, when they leave the house, when they get on the phone, things that you normally wouldn't even pay any attention to, now you're paying attention to everything. It causes you to overthink. It causes you to doubt yourself in a relationship, thinking, did I do something wrong? It just causes you to sometimes feel like you gotta walk on eggshells. Again, what I was saying, like in my marriage, once that trust was broken, it was hard to communicate. Matter of fact, I didn't even want to talk because I wanted to talk, but that person didn't want to acknowledge their wrongdoing. So to me, until we can get past this, we couldn't go forward. I couldn't move forward. I couldn't go forward because I wanted to talk about it. So intimacy was definitely out of the question. You know, I can't trust you, so I don't want to sleep with you. So what are your thoughts, Miss Bridget, when the trust is gone from a relationship? Can it be restored, or is it a bust? Also, there can be resentment when there is no trust. There can be resentment, suspicion. A person becomes emotionally withdrawn, and I think that's what I was going through with the marriage. I just was totally withdrawn because you're with someone and you're putting all of your trust into them that they won't do anything to hurt you or violate you, and then when they do, then it's like almost hard to believe, and then it makes you suspicious of a lot of other people. So eventually, there will be a complete breakdown of the relationship. When there's no trust, like I said before, it's just like a house built on sand. It will eventually erode, and it will eventually crumble. Ways to get trust back is the 3 C's. Commitment. You have to be committed, whether it's business or whether it's a personal relationship. Both parties have to be committed in fixing things and regaining trust. Compromise. And in relationships, a lot of times we have to compromise and meet the other person in the middle place, and sometimes we actually have to, put their needs before ours. You have to compromise, and then number 3, you definitely have to communicate. You have to communicate. I can remember being in that relationship, and at that time, when they left the house, I wanted to know. If they went to the store, I wanted to know. I wanted to know everything. I even got to the point where I wanted to know passcodes to the phones, and normally I didn't, don't want to know passcodes to someone's phone or passcodes to their Facebook or anything like that. And so just everything that he did at that point was like putting me on edge and making me insecure. And so we eventually ended up in divorce. So in business roles, again, accountability is also very important. Showing up when you're supposed to show up, especially when it's dealing with financial contracts, when it's dealing with money, period. If you're taking the business to another level, maybe entertaining or doing a project so you can get more publicity, both parties or whoever's expected to show up and do certain things need to show up. So in closing, again, I like to say the 3 C's for rebuilding trust are communication, compromise, and commitment. Hopefully, in any type of relationship, you will hope that trust is never broken so that you won't have to try to rebuild trust. But if it does, then commitment, communication, and compromise are the 3 ways to get back. Remember, you can always go to YouTube at TruthBtold 1969. You can rewatch episodes 1 through 15. You can also go on Facebook to the Truth Be Told page. Remember to like and subscribe and to share my episodes. You can also email me at truthbetold625@gmail.com. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, and yes, we will be on Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday. We will be on Sunday, talking about the new year and possibly talking about resolutions. I look forward to seeing y'all next Sunday. Remember 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9. For eyes have not seen, nor ears heard, nor the human heart conceived what God has for those who love him. Access has been granted.